everybody, my name is indeed Captain Mamba, and today I come back to you with some more forbidden knowledge. That's right, I am the knower of all of knower. I have the knowledge, the power to do whatever I must, and one of those things that I have the knowledge of is on Leblanc. That's right. I recently unboxed my second epic relic. My first one was the Stifle of Shadows, and this one is another really good relic. I've gotten very lucky twice, and I'm very, very happy because of that. And I'm going to show you what the relic is in just a second. But before I do, I just want to talk about how broken Leblanc is no matter what. I mean, keep in mind, this is a character that already is just completely busted on this epic relic, or without this epic relic. So with the addition of this epic relic, I actually think that she's quite strong, and I'm going to show you why today. So, the reason why is because I got Oath of Guardians. If you don't know what Oath of Guardians is, it is play triple 5 level 2 champions in your deck and double their stats. So, the reason why this is really, really good with LeBlanc is actually because of her star power, okay? Because if you look at her secondary star power, everywhere, everyone, if you level the champion in this game, when allies attack, summon an attacking ephemeral LeBlanc. So, this is actually an interaction that actually works. So whenever you play LeBlanc, you technically instantly already leveled another champion because you've shuffled 5 leveled up champions in your deck and double their stats, which is already really good because it allows you to summon a secondary attacking LeBlanc. Now you're thinking, well, it's already really easy to level LeBlanc. What makes this worth it? Well, what I'm going to show you today that makes it really, really fun is by running a double star gem with the Oath of Guardians, you're able to summon a secondary LeBlanc when you attack, which means that you are actually giving all champions, whenever you're attacking, +4/+4. So not only are you going to have cheaper champions already, you're going to have literally champions that cost 4 less than they normally do, and they already have their stats doubled, but you're also going to have +4/+4 on them, because when you're attacking, the Ephemeral LeBlanc will be attacking too, which means that you're going to get a +2/+2 buff on top of whatever else you are already doing. And to show this, I'm just going to be kind of showing you the ASOL run. This is going to be a really, really strong build because it means that you don't have to worry as much. First off, LeBlanc isn't your only win con, but on top of that, it's just a really good stat buff to have, right? So you're not just fully focused on LeBlanc. LeBlanc can buff everyone else around her too. It just makes her a lot more of a supportive character. And so I don't think this is necessarily the only build you have to run on LeBlanc, but she's already so busted. But before I do get into the video, I also do want to just talk about real quick an interaction that doesn't work. I tested it out. Bard, it does not work with. And the reason why, unfortunately, is because you have to increase the total stats of allies and player in hand, and I just blew it. I forgot to read that part. So Bard does not work with this interaction, so don't try it on Bard. And also, Evelyn does not work with this interaction, which is super sad because I actually really enjoy Evelyn, but Evelyn's already pretty much broken on her own with her build, so I don't necessarily think she needed that. That would have just been like the cherry on top. But we are going to go into it. I'm just going to be kind of showing you guys what this interaction is. I'm really, really excited for ASOL. They're coming very, very soon. I hope you guys are excited about ASOL just as much as me. All right. We don't really need mana. We can just kind of reroll here. Titanic Wake is going to be really, really good for us because we're going to have a lot of champions that are already +8/+8, so we're kind of sitting pretty well here. We can kind of go a lot of stuff. LeBlanc's a very flexible champion. Also, just a nice little interaction that I really like about this particular epic relic is that if you have a prismatic champion, so say you have a champion that's like your favorite champion, you've already prismatic them, right? Because it's pretty easy to get prismatic at this point. Like, you kind of just play the game and it kind of gives it to you for free. And so I have a decent amount of champions that are prismatic, including LeBlanc, right? And when you prismatic LeBlanc, what happens is whenever you play the card, every single champion also becomes prismatic as well. Now, I know that's pretty intuitive, but it is a really nice addition, right? Now, keep in mind, you don't get to play LeBlanc on the first turn, because obviously it's 3 cost, so you do have to survive for 1 turn, but that's typically not too bad. They're probably going to be playing Static Shock pretty early on here, so we can't play a 1-drop. We'll probably play this and then just protect our...
Excuse me?
Or we'll just protect it like this. That's okay. I don't really care about this one guy. This also gives me a reputation proc, which is really, really good. But either way, you're about to see the power of LeBlanc, right? Like, I don't even need to level up LeBlanc. Watch this. I'm going to literally play LeBlanc, And then from there, I'm going to get the buff of attacking with LeBlanc, which is just going to be utterly ridiculous. I have the Sharpen Resolve always, which allows me to protect myself. And LeBlanc's already a 7-4, so she's not in any danger to herself. But watch this. I'm going to attack, and then a second LeBlanc is going to summon, without ever me even being ever leveled up or anything like that. And you can just see why LeBlanc is just so strong. Now, keep in mind, you're not normally going to get a 17-14. They got the bonus buff because of the Titanic weight, but you can still see why it's so strong, right? It's just such a strong build, and I just don't see how another build could technically be, like, quote-unquote better, unless there's just, like, some specific scenario, because this just seems so broken.
I am everywhere. I am everyone.
Because this, in turn, it also makes it easier to level LeBlanc, which kind of keeps it going. And then if you ever need the extra actual bonuses, by the way, for LeBlanc, you summon an extra LeBlanc, which makes, in turn, your champions 2 costs less expensive if you ever need the extra champions, right? So it's just like, like, for example, say I couldn't pay for Tom Kench, right? Well, it would be super duper easy because then I could just make them another 4 costs. Like, say I drew, like, Aurelion Soul or something this turn, right? Normally, Aurelion Soul would be a 6-drop right now, but if I summon an extra LeBlanc, then Aurelion Soul would only be a 2-drop, and then I could play the Aurelion Soul. So, it's pretty broken. I'm just going to play the Tom Kench right now. Like, look at this. He's already a 16-24. Normally, he would be an 8-16, but you get the point. It's still really, really strong. It just goes to show you how busted this thing is on LeBlanc. Like, I know that there are strong things on LeBlanc, and you don't get me wrong, you don't need to force yourself to try and get this on LeBlanc, right? Like, you're not, like, struggling with stuff for LeBlanc, but it just makes her that much stronger. Like, you don't even need to draw another champion. It's nice when you do, but the amount of pressure she gives by having all those extra stats, right? Like, keep in mind, the Star Gen literally gives you +1/+1 each time, so you're using it. So it just makes it a really strong addition, no matter what. Like, Ezreal did not stand a chance this entire time. Like, so, I mean, it kind of is what it is. Genuinely, not only do I think that Oath of Guardians is probably one of the funniest and, like, most fun ones to use, it's probably one of the stronger ones, too, just because of how strong Star Gems is at the moment. I can't imagine they're going to keep Star Gems at 2 less. They might honestly decrease it to 1 less because it's just so strong. I hope that they don't get rid of this buff completely. If they do, it'll probably be a useless thing. But since it costs 2 less, it's just really strong. So I don't know. I don't know how they feel about it. I think Star Gems is at 1 less is probably okay. I still think 1 less is okay. But if they remove it again, it's not going to be very useful. Because there's just going to be better relics to use at that point. Like, you would still use LeBlanc for the buffs, but then after that, you're like, okay, but I don't need all the buffs, probably. It's probably what I would think. But either way, we're going to keep moving here. We'll just grab the Swifting Lancer. It doesn't really matter what we get, guys. It's so broken. Now, again, we have the ability to even, like, think about getting an Aurelion Soul, literally only because of the fact that we have a LeBlanc, which is pretty broken. But I don't know if I will get Aurelion Soul here. I don't want Lucian either. I could get Aurelion Soul. It would be kind of funny. I'll do it because it's fighting Aurelion Soul with Aurelion Soul. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. And we'll just go into Tom Kench. Why not? We'll have way too many stats for Tom Kench. Make sure we get our beautiful Aurelion Soul skin in. And, yeah, we're going good. Basically, the whole thing, like I was saying with this entire build, is it's literally just, the whole entire focus of the build is just playing LeBlanc, right? Like, that's literally, it becomes your only win con, basically, whenever you play LeBlanc like this. But, I mean, LeBlanc is normally the only win con in these kind of decks, so, like, you're not really deviating too far from what you would normally be doing anyways, and she's just so much stronger because you already get the effect of her leveling up from the get-go, and it's not like you're losing stats from different buffs, right? Like, if you were going to play Caulfields, right? If you're going to go double Caulfields, you're only missing out on 2 attack that you already gained back whenever you have the extra LeBlanc, right? So you're not even losing anything. That's what makes it so strong, right? Is you're not losing anything because whenever you attack, you get it back with LeBlanc. You could do this without getting the Oath of Guardians, by the way. You could just use triple Star Gem, because then whenever LeBlanc summons anyways, you'd already have that buff. But I just think, obviously, the Epic Relic makes it that much stronger. Like, we have a literally a one-cost Heimerdinger that's now at 1620, and now we just win the game. Like, look at that. And technically, after LeBlanc levels here, we'll be able to play our Aurelian Soul. It's pretty broken. We could literally play Aurelian Soul this turn, too. Keep that in mind. Like, that is how broken it is. It's really impressive how strong this build is of Oath of Guardians plus double Star Gem. Like, it's probably the strongest combo with it. If you're going to run this on any character, there's a couple other characters that work really well with this build, but it's just so broken on LeBlanc in a lot of ways that it's one of the ones that I don't think people would, like, initially think of, right? There's a couple other champions that you would think of pretty regularly with this. You think Echo, right? Because you can find the champions that you buffed up the stats with. You go double Star Gem, they cost less already, and then on top of that, they're going to cost less because they're created cards. Echo just naturally kind of comes to mind. But a lot of people aren't going to be thinking LeBlanc whenever they first take this Relic, and that's kind of why I wanted to show you guys why LeBlanc is so good with this Relic, because she has so much potential. There's a reason why strong champions just have so much potential on their own, right? And that's because they have more flexibility with their builds, right? You look at some of these things, like these different champions, and you're like, well, they don't really have the same level of flexibility, right? Because you need certain things just to make them work, right? Like, you can't run certain things on Ornn, because if you run them on Ornn, you're just going to lose tempo-wise, right? Like, because Ornn just isn't strong enough a lot of the time. But LeBlanc, since she's probably up near the top of champions, potentially even the strongest champion, it makes it a lot easier to run these more flexible builds, which allows you to get away with literally summoning 5 champions that you may not ever even draw, right? Like, think about that, right? LeBlanc can literally win without ever drawing one of these champions. That's how strong LeBlanc is as a character. Whereas, like, other characters would need to draw these champions to succeed, right? Don't get me wrong, that does make it fun, and I'm going to be trying those out in the future, but LeBlanc, this, like, honestly, going into this next, the next thing for everything that's going to be going on, right, for the monthly challenges. Sorry, you got to be more specific. So the next monthly challenges, I'm probably going to be using this bow in LeBlanc because it's just so strong. Unless there's, like, another build that I think will be better for a specific challenge. But, like, having this in general is just so broken. Like, especially if you can make LeBlanc a little bit cheaper and get her out on turn 1. It's just broken. Like,
Places to go.
You can't even remove her because of the Sharpened Resolve. Like, it's almost impossible to remove a LeBlanc because you're going to have a... you're going to have a 10-6 if you have the Sharpened Resolve on her, right? And it's just, like, what do you do at that point? Look at this. And until LeBlanc dies, so keep in mind, since you're not running any Strike Relic or anything like that, LeBlanc's not going to die whenever she's summoned. So, because of that, she's always going to retain that stat, and since she always attacks last, you won't lose that stat until after the LeBlanc dies. So, it's going to happen for the entire attack turn, which is why it's so strong. I'm actually so happy that this build works the way it does, because I had a couple ones that I tried it on that it, like, didn't really work as well on, and it kind of bummed me out, but this one's strong, right? Like, look at that. Our Aurelian Soul is already a 6-drop, and I can summon another LeBlanc, and then... Suspicious activity detected just outside. Watch this, guys. Watch this. Our Aurelian Soul is going to be a 2-cost Aurelian Soul, and whenever we summon him, he is going to be... Yep, alright, and now we just win. Like, that is just kind of how it goes, guys. We'll even kill the Scourge for good measure. He's earned a 22-22 Aurelian Soul. Obviously, he's going to lose 2 of those stats whenever the LeBlanc dies, but,
The constellations bow to me!
Also, keep in mind, whenever we summon LeBlanc, right, she's going to get, as long as we get, like, any buff on her, like, at all, right, she's actually going to be getting a +8/+8 buff just because of the power we have. But, like, you don't even need the power like I said before. It is very clear how strong this is. And watch. So whenever we attack, again, I'm going to reiterate this. Whenever we attack, we're going to get a +2/+2 buff here and a +2/+2 buff here because of everything. Obviously, they got a little bit extra on top of that just because of the Scourge. But, again, it's always the +2/+2 buff because we have an extra LeBlanc, and it doesn't go away until that LeBlanc dies. That's why it's so strong. Because you're getting those extra buffs across the board, and you want to be playing champions, so you're basically reinforcing that style of play. And on top of that, Leblanc on her own is just so strong, right? Like, getting that extra +3, +2, sharpen, resolve that you can just play at any turn, it's just so strong. Like, you just have such an ability to kind of keep pushing the game forward, and it just allows you to start putting the pressure on with your star power that much faster. And why are we getting, like, literally only champions here? It's like they know that we're running this, and they're like, here, you already have all these champions that are buffed, why not get more? And you know what, dude? Honestly, we could go for Nautilus, but who's ever not had fun in their life running Ornn? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you want to run Ornn? We're going to have an ally that structs rate plus damage easily, and even though Nautilus will be good, we're never going to level him up, and I would love to see an Ornn level up. So, we're going to be playing Ornn, and yeah, so like, look at this. Now we get the Colossal Hammer. If you ever get any singular buff on Leblanc at all, she just becomes, like, unstoppable, basically, because now you're also just buffing your win condition anyways. And honestly, you could get the flexible game plan like I just did, just to make sure you get Leblanc in your opener, right? Because that is the whole idea, is that you're just trying to get Leblanc. Leblanc is what starts to make everything go around. Now, unfortunately, the Oath Guardians isn't a summon effect, it's just a play effect, so you're not getting it, like, every single time you play it, but, like, I feel like if you did, that would just be so busted. Like, if that was, instead of a play effect, it was a summon effect, I'm pretty sure the game would break. Like, because LeBlanc would just get so much more value at that point. Like, you're basically just saying, LeBlanc, be amazing and be perfect. But yeah, it is a play effect, so keep that in mind. You're not going to get it off summons. But I still think on its own, play effects with this are just so broken that I don't really think it matters. Let's invoke something. Why not? I kind of like Spell Shield, just in case I'm worried that they were going to try and summon or stun LeBlanc. And watch this. Now, they attack, and of course, Sharpen's Resolve. This is just standard LeBlanc stuff. LeBlanc with Sharpen's Resolve can bait so much out of an enemy. Now, we do have to be a little bit careful about a stun potentially coming through here, but they don't have one, so we're just going to play LeBlanc for free. And again, it just starts. Like, what are you going to do? Now I have my Titanic Wake. Obviously, Titanic Wake is a really synergistic power with this run. But again, the point should still stand. Like, even if I didn't have Titanic Wake, this would still be a really strong push. Like, what do you even do if you're the Zoe at this point, obviously? Now, unfortunately, they do have that, so I am just going to play Sharpened Resolve, kill the Zoe off.
The black rose blooms once more.
And what's even better is that we can play in Aurelian Soul next turn. So, again, like I said, the pressure is just so much. Like, I'm literally playing with the most expensive champion in the game, and I'm able to get that champion out on turn 4. Think about that. I'm able to get a champion that is the most expensive champion in the game out on turn 4. That's how strong this character is. Like, having this combo where you're able to decrease everything by 2, you can be really, really aggressive with the champions that you pick with your supported champions, because they're just so strong. You have the ability to put forth those champions that you were, like, looking at in the first place. That's what makes it so strong, is it's like you're not limited in the same way that you feel like you might be otherwise without, like, this sort of Oath of Guardians. Now, if this doesn't make you excited to use Oath of Guardians, I don't know what will. You don't even have to use the Star Gems if you don't want to. Like, the Star Gems are just to make it even more incredibly OP. But, like, she's just so strong. Like, why not? You know, like, I don't know. Like, I'm just showing you guys first, like, the strongest of the strong. And then, you know, if I ever wanted to challenge myself in the future with LeBlanc, I could always do something else. But this is just to show you, again, what do? You can't do anything into this. Like, she's so strong. In some ways, I kind of wish I didn't even take Titanic Wake, just so you could see how strong she is without it. But she's still just so strong anyways that it'll be fine. I'm sure I'll have time in future games to show you how broken she is. I mean, like, I could even go Shadow Totem, right, for the extra, like, buff on her, but why not? You just go Colossal Hammer, because it doesn't really matter when you summon her. You can just keep getting the extra buffs. Like, you don't really need to get the extra, like, the double summon, right, that you might have to do. Like, that's the other nice thing about this versus, like, some of the other ones, right? Like, if you go Guardian's Orb, you need to have the summon effects to kind of make her stronger. You need to have, like, Guardian's Angel for things like that. But the Star Gem just makes it so much better, and you're also, whenever you're playing the character, even if that character were to die, you have extra win cons with those champions, right? So you're literally generating win cons in your deck. That's what makes her so strong, and that's what I like so much about everything. I'm literally going to go into Ashe. I think Ashe is probably one of the strongest champions in the entirety of the Aurelion Sol run because of the fact that she can Frostbite your strongest unit, and a lot of the time you have a very big win con that you want to play through. But I'm just going to go into Ashe, and I'm going to stomp her too, because there's not anything that Ashe can actually do to stop me. That's how strong this character is. It's completely broken. I mean, if you don't want to hear me just talk about how broken Leblanc is, I'm sorry, but that's what I'm going to be doing this entire video, because she's broken. Like, I don't know what to tell you. She's going to stomp this Aesol run. Now, she normally stops Aesol runs anyways, but, like, has it ever really been this easy before? Like, it just feels so much easier than normal. You know, like, if a noob like me can play a Leblanc out like this, it's just, like, what do you even do? You know, like, the AI is probably crying right now because of how broken this is. Like, now, like, look, they just frostbited me, right? But, like, I can still just attack anyways. Like, doesn't even matter. I'm literally still going to get a +2/+2 buff on my attack. I'm still going to give myself, actually, the reputation bonus. Because why not? And again, I already leveled, so guess what's going to happen? Guess who's coming down next turn? Aurelion Sol. So you're always going to be getting, or actually, I guess in this case it'll be Ornn, but like, you're always going to be getting your extra champion down. You know what I mean? Like, you can get an Aurelion Sol, you can get an Ornn. And see, this actually, what's really nice about Mirror Image, they actually buffed Mirror Image from where it used to be. You don't even have to have, what Mirror Image used to be was you had to have a 5+ attacking ally to copy it. You don't even need that anymore, so I can get Frostbited on LeBlanc, and I can still summon another one. And what's crazier about this than anything is I'm going to be able to get not only an Ornn out, but I'm also going to get an Aurelion Sol out and a Yasuo if I wanted. Like, that is how broken everything is.
My aim is true.
And because LeBlanc is so broken, I could literally block this Ashe. Like, watch this. I'm literally going to be able to block her because I have the Sharpen Revolve. So, I can literally just block, take no damage, and then after that, bye-bye, Ashe. You're coming with me. And then we're going to level the Ashe. We're going to level a Yasuo right here, and then we're also going to play through Ornn, right? So, it's like, what do you even do? Like, you don't have the ability to do anything as, like, the enemy. Like, even without the Titanic Wake, like, these things are still scary without the extra +8/+8. You know what I mean? Like, a 14/14 Ornn.
I'm the forger of stars.
Like, Aurelion Sol isn't even the strongest unit on the board. It's just LeBlanc that keeps decreasing the cost of everything by 4. Like, you don't even need your followers at this point. Like, you could literally remove the entire deck of LeBlanc and just replace it with LeBlanc, and she'd be broken. Like, that is how broken this deck is in particular. You don't need another thing on the board besides LeBlanc for the most part, because it's like, she's just so valuable. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, they just frostbited 2 of my biggest units, and I'm gonna win. Like, it's just like, what do you do? What do you do at that point? We'll do Living Legends, why not? So yeah, so now, boo, they frostbited 3 of my champions. I'll take that back. So, we do want to make sure we summon a LeBlanc. So I am gonna make sure, just 3, like, right, because it'll be at 4, and I'll play 1 more LeBlanc and an Aurelion Sol like that. Look at how much damage I'm going to do, by the way. Look at that. Look at that. Like, obviously, a little bit of this helps because of Titanic Wake. Like, this would be 16 less damage, actually, so they might live with this, but then I have, like, these 2. But yeah, nothing else is actually damaging the Nexus for the most part, so I would actually still be able to one-shot this round, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. Like, I would actually one-shot this round, even without the Titanic Wake. Like, it's just kind of crazy. Like, obviously Titanic Wake does help, but it's not the end of the world. Like, you could definitely pilot this without it. I think that Titanic Wake is just, like, it just goes to show, like, normally you wouldn't even be going for Titanic Wake on LeBlanc because you're not sure how many units you'd be able to get to that size on summon, but with Star Gem, you just know that you can. Now, I don't actually want to take Sejuani because I want to keep my champion count lower so that I'm constantly drawing LeBlanc, right? Like I only have 4 copies of her, and I have, so it's literally a 50-50 chance. That's why I'm also going to go for here. Oh my god, I can get a turn 1 LeBlanc, guys. So now I get a turn 1 LeBlanc, right? Like, any of these buffs at all ever are just so broken. I think the strongest one genuinely is just getting her out a turn sooner, because now that means, yep, if you have a 2-mana attack, you're still able to get her out on time. So, again, LeBlanc's broken. Please, 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 if you have this Relic and you have 2 Star Gems, make me proud. Try it at least once, guys. Like, save this for the monthly challenge. Like, it is so good. This is one of the champions that I think that, like, it just deserves this Relic. It's a little bit more of a sleeper pick if you weren't aware that this Relic existed and that it was going to be as good as it was. And we're guaranteed to get one of these strikes off, right? Like, look at that. We're literally just going to win the game on the first round. What does Gangplank do? What does Gangplank do? Again, some of this is Titanic Wake, I know. But a lot of it is just how broken LeBlanc is. Like, we're literally getting one-shots right at the start. And I know that you could have, like, that with, like, the play Strike the Enemy Nexus. But, like, you're getting a lot more value, right? The thing is that the Star Gem is a lot more consistent from the start. Like, you can go all the way back to the first round whenever I was playing the LeBlanc. She's still valuable. That's what makes her so good in the monthly challenges like this, right? Because in monthly challenges, you don't get the same amount of value because you don't have the same amount of upgrades that you would get through, like, the course of, like, an Aurelion Sol run, right? You would get a lot less upgrades throughout the course of that run. That's why she's initially more valued like this, because she still guarantees those extra stats, while also allowing you to play those champions out the gate, right? That's what makes her so strong. We'll even get more copies of Thorn, because, like, why not at this point? We're just going to get... It doesn't even matter what we really pull at this point. We'll go Swain here. Now, we do have the chance to not draw a LeBlanc every once in a while, so basically at this point in a run, right, you kind of just want a full mulligan for LeBlanc, because she's literally your bread and butter. She's the only thing that matters in this entire run. Like, we pull the Ornn, which is actually not bad, because it allows us to potentially not draw an extra champion, right? And this is also why I picked the draw 2, right? Because when you know what your win con is, which is, in this deck, it's LeBlanc, you can play through your win con of saying, well, as long as I draw this card, I'll be okay. Well, if that's the case, Flexible Game Plan is actually a really OP Relic, right? Or power. What makes Flexible Game Plan not so great is whenever you're playing with cards that, like, you need, like, multiple cards to win, or you don't really have, like, one fleshed out win con. But if you have a fleshed out win con, well, just make sure you draw it every turn. And then you can do that by drawing an extra 2 cards. So, now we just play Ornn here. Fortunately, Ornn will not get the bonus, which kind of sucks, but whatever, it's fine. Oh, he does get the bonus. What? I thought he wouldn't. Oh, right, because I have the keywords bonus. That's why. Well, that's even more broken. Also, the Swain's not long for the world, but, you know, it is what it is. So we're going to... Since we have Overwhelm there, we'll do that. Kill them, and boom. So not only that, now we have a Fiora win con. And they can't even block because I just summoned a elusive LeBlanc. Okay, so... hopefully you guys are enjoying this build, because I really enjoy Disciple of Shadows, but I don't think it's the most universal relic. There's not as much you can really do with it. Oath of Guardians, on the other hand, there's a lot of champions that are viable for this relic. Like, they may not be the strongest champions for this relic, but they're viable at the very least. Like, you could use that champion, you know? And that's what I think is so enjoyable about it, is it's like, if you pull this relic, you can put this on basically any champion that you enjoy. Right now, obviously, it's going to be better on some champions than others. Like, you're probably not running this on Nasus. You know what I mean? But, like, it just goes to show that there is a lot of potential that you can use this normally. I'm also drawing champions back to back to back to back to back. Why am I drawing some of the champions? I'm also just going to grab this, because, where is it at in here? It should be in 2 costs. Whispered Words. The reason why I just grabbed this is because, say I don't draw LeBlanc, I have an extra draw 2. So, again, it just all goes back to just get more LeBlancs. Another reason I might honestly just get this, because like I don't even need the Triparian Shieldbreaker. I just want to be able to draw LeBlancs. Like anything that gives me the draw to be able to draw LeBlanc, like it's just playing through your win con, right? Like it's knowing what your win con is and playing through it. Honestly, like I might get rid of something like Triparian Shieldbreaker because there isn't a whole point to really running him. I don't want to be around in this game that long, and whenever I get to that length of the game, I want to have champions that I'm playing instead of the Triparian Shieldbreaker. So, but yeah, see, like, look at this. I just drew three champions, and then I'll still draw LeBlanc because of the way I shelved out everything. Alright, perfect. Also, we have almost an entirely full hand. We have 10 out of 10 cards in our hand right at the start of the game. Which is pretty cool. Right. So, Traven is literally just going to get rolled, but we'll let him think that he has a chance. That's another LeBlanc. Doesn't really do anything for us, but say they have like an Obliterate or something, I guess. That would be nice at least. Alright, Orin will level, obviously. We're going to put it through this one right here, just so that we get a little bit extra damage.
I whisper truth into lies.
I actually do like LeBlanc as a champion, too. I know she's really strong, but...
You wanted the god of the forge, you got him.
I think my two favorite archetypes are either like the control style, where you have to move a little bit slower, really think about stuff, or where you can come up with these really cool, like unique, kind of interesting combos, where star powers, things like that. And one of the ways that you do that is through having things that like revolve around things like champion levels, right? And LeBlanc is one of those characters that you can really do that with. And so I don't know, I just really appreciate that in comparison to what other like characters sometimes have to offer, right? Where they're a little bit more just one-dimensional. You have to play a certain archetype. Unless that archetype is really fun to me, it's sometimes not as, you know, enjoyable as it would be otherwise. That's right. Let's rock Runeterra. And with that, like, we can literally just only keep champions on the board, and yeah. And now you're gonna see on this attack a little bit more of without the Scourge, right? Because I had the Scourge thing. I forget what it's called. I think it might just be called the Scourge. But that gives you the extra +2/+2. Now you're gonna see just a +2/+2 launch. This is gonna go from 24-17 to a 26-19. This one's gonna go to 26-26. This one's gonna go up by 2 more just because it's an Ornn. So you're going to get forged twice. So it's going to go to 25-25. But really strong. You got 26-19, 26-26. And obviously that buff also falls to this. And it's so broken, guys. What do you even do? Like what I had, I think I had 2 attacks this game. So, pretty good. And 2 attacks, I've already beaten them. And it wasn't close either. Like, it wasn't like I just kind of snuck out the attack win. No, I handedly beat Draven, who can sometimes be a huge problem, right? Draven can sometimes be a huge problem. He exerts a lot of pressure early, and there was none of that here. And now this is where I would take Elusive, just because it makes her really strong. You could do this shit. Like, Shadow Totem would be funny, because whenever you're summoning an ephemeral copy of LeBlanc, it should also summon an extra copy of LeBlanc, which just means extra buffs. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'll actually do the Shadow Totem just to show you how even more dumb it can be. Like, even with that summon, like, obviously Elusive would be really good, because then you can't block her, like, absurd strength that she has. I could do Share the Bounty. All of these are strong. Staff against them is strong, because it just allows me to play more stuff. If I go for the Yips Genius, I get the extra +2/+2 on some of my champions that only cost 1, depending on what I have. And then Share the Bounty is really, really strong because you're copying your star power onto your weakest unit, which just gives you an extra stat. But I'll just stack against them because why not? And we're actually 1 card short of being at 40, but that's okay because we'll get it after this next turn. And we don't even need it, to be honest. It just means that, like, I could literally play a 3 Aurelian Soul too, depending on how things worked out. So I already have my LeBlanc, so I basically just win. There is a small chance you wouldn't draw LeBlanc every single game, but, like, that chance is so small. And by the time that the enemy can even do anything about it, you're probably okay. I draw so many cards at the start. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, that is just insane. Alright, LeBlanc is out.
Put my face on. Looking for trouble? It found you.
Fortunately, I won't attack into me, otherwise I could have a free A-Soul. But there's not much I can do about that. I'll just go for the banks. Why not? If you have a stun, in case we need it. If they attack into me, they're insane. Why would you attack into me here? Okay, I was going to say, I was like, they should not attack me. But it should have worked so that whenever I attack with LeBlanc, I should get a second LeBlanc just in my deck here. Yes, which means that I will have a free A-Soul. So again, by summoning that extra LeBlanc, right, what am I doing? I'm not only decreasing champions by another +4/+4, or by another 4 cost, I'm also giving an extra +2/+2 bonus. It's just so good. Like, that sequence of just getting extra stuff all the time. Look at the Great Beyond. It's an extra unit. And honestly, I don't even need to, like, I'm gonna mill stuff here, but that's fine.
Bow to me.
Like, I'm not really that worried. I basically have already won. I just need to not die this round, right? Like, and obviously I won't die this round, but, like, that's, like, your only goal right now is just wait until your next attack turn. Like, that's kind of what it goes. The other option you do have, by the way, is to say you don't have 2 star gems, right? Say you're wondering, like, well, what would you run if you didn't have a second star gem? Something like Crown Guard is really, really good because what's going to happen is you're going to attack once, you're going to level LeBlanc, and then you're going to be able to attack again, which is really, really strong. But right now, with how strong Star Gem is, it's just more work to play double Star Gem. But that doesn't mean that Crown Guards isn't a bad second option for something like that. That would be one of the ones I initially think of. There's probably more that I can even think of. Now, say there were two really strong units, I was like, oh no, I don't have a strong enough unit to stop them. Well, you just stun them real quick because we have the Invoke, and we're okay. So, literally, you can't do anything wrong here. Basically, everything you do is a win whenever you're playing LeBlanc like this. Like, you could take some incredibly strong powers and still win with quite the ease, I guess is the best way to say that, over some other characters. Now, instead of them getting an extra +2/+2, they got an extra +4/+4 because of the extra LeBlanc here. And there's just too many units on the board for LeBlanc to not win. There are still some things that are a little bit rougher. Obviously, LeBlanc doesn't have any sort of overwhelm, so there is some counter to that and everything like that. But it's just really, really strong as a build. It's probably one of your more consistent builds as a concept, right? It's because you always are going to have some sort of win con to play through. And there's some decks that I feel like don't really have win cons, which makes it a lot tougher. Now, this is funny because you're going to have extra stats instead of your base stats here. And I want to have fun, so why not buy one Nasus? I should never not have at least one LeBlanc anyways, so it should be fun. This also makes Nasus really, really strong. It makes Nasus good, guys. Isn't that crazy? That's one of the impressive parts about it. Again, keep in mind, I'm going to play one LeBlanc, and then, since I have to double summon, champions cost 8 less. I can play it on. You know what I mean? Like, this is how strong it is.
I hate having to put my face on.
What?
Obviously, they won't attack anymore because, you know, they don't want to lose, but it kind of is what it is. I am going to play a couple of characters just because I want to keep my deck open. but I mean, doesn't really matter what they do here. Alright. Let's attack out the gate, and we'll kill Tristana first. Like, normally this should be really scary, right? Like, look at the stats that they have right at the start, but, like, I just win. Like, what do you even do? Like, you just win.
The black rose blooms once more.
Like, Katarina with this power is actually really, really scary with the way that the stats are doubled, but, like, you just have way more stats than they
Now
do.
this is what good looks like.
Keep in mind, I'm only, for the most part, I've only been drawing the champions that I already have in my deck. Like, I'm not even drawing the ones that I get from Oath of Guardians, which have the extra stats included, right? Like, most champions have really decent stat lines to the point where, like, they go from, like, 3-3 to 6-6, or, like, 4-4 to 8-8, or even above that, right? Like, sometimes they have even better stat lines than that. So, you can get a lot of pressure. Like, really, why am I getting so many champions? Like, I normally never get this many, even whenever I'm level 30. I feel like I'm getting so many things more than I normally do. Alright, well, we'll just get this. And then we will do Nautilus. Now, I'm not really worried about Nautilus. I think Nautilus is probably one of the weaker just champions overall to run into. He's a little annoying with how he heals, but like, I wouldn't even be worried about him having the extra mana. I think the only one that really makes him scary is getting the extra champions, because those are the ones that the extra champions are just so strong on him, because they allow him to kind of play for a win con before he comes out on the board. You just spend all your time in the early game trying to counter those champions a lot of the time, which makes him a lot stronger. Guys, I could play Nasus this turn and potentially win with a Nasus. Isn't that crazy?
But the black rose remembers.
A Nasus with the Poro. We're going to play Ornn first, though. Just a lot more pressure from Ornn than from a Nasus on the board. Because this early on, Nasus doesn't really have a lot of pressure. I'll even make our Nasus level up, too.
What a treat.
Look at this, guys. Leblanc levels, Ornn levels, Nasus levels. It's just a cinematic experience, really. Honestly, I guess that's your biggest problem, right? You're going to be watching a lot of champion level ups. That's what's going to slow you down. I guess if you're going for the ultimate speedrun, don't do this, just because you're going to be so much slower. I've got to put my Nasus skin, I just realized that. What's the point of having a skin if you're not going to use it? Shake my head. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this so far. I think it's just so broken. Like, if you're looking for an interesting build, this is the build, guys. Just, like, I mean, going into... This just makes me even more excited to try the ASL rundown, because I know that I'm going to have a strong character that's going to make it easier for me to kind of be a little bit stronger, right? And that's going to make it a little bit easier on those runs where I feel a little bit more confident, like, oh my god, I'm actually going to beat the ASL run, not like maybe get stagnant at like tier 67 or something. And I'm like, no, you know, so it does feel a little bit better like that. And stuff. But yeah, let me know also if you think that there are better ideas down below. You know, like if you're like, well, I actually think that this could be really good on this champion or this champion. I love to hear those comments. I love to see them. I love to see what kind of ideas or theory crafts that you guys get, or like you can tell me all about, you know, what kind of stuff that you guys get for your own epic relics, and have you gotten them, what have you guys gotten, things like that, because I understand that I've been pretty fortunate so far, honestly, with the pulls of my epic relics. I don't expect to always be getting stuff this strong. I think that in the future I'm going to get really unlucky probably and get, you know, like things like the Beast Within that I don't think is as strong, and I definitely won't enjoy it as much. But let's just put Asol out of our misery, or out of his misery. He's going to heal his Nexus up to level 50, or back to 50 health, just so that he can be so kind to us, just so that we can finish him off just that one time more. And, wow. Wow, what a run, guys. So, hopefully you guys got to see a few of the different things that work really well with LeBlanc, in tandem with each other. I think, obviously, the summon is actually still really good, because you get an extra +2/+2 on everything. So it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. You can get maybe a more expensive champion out a little bit faster. Like, there's a lot of different things that are really, really good with it. And LeBlanc, even without all that, would have still done well in that ASOL run, which is kind of crazy to think about because he is such a strong champion. Now, again, keep in mind, this is only the level 30, right? So like, I'm literally max level, have some of the best relics in the game. Like, so keep that in mind. It's going to be a little bit harder for you, most likely, than it is for me, because he's just really, really strong. But this build is just broken. I mean, the Star Gem just synergizes so well with Oath of the Guardians, and it's just so fun. Oath of Guardians is just such a fun epic. I think that there are some epic relics that aren't going to be as fun to play around with, but this is one of the ones that is fun. You know, like I was so excited whenever I saw this one because there's so much more potential with this relic than there is with a lot of other relics, and hopefully you guys will be a fan just like me. I have more ideas that I can do with this one in the future, but you're probably going to be seeing this video actually really close to before the actual ASOL run. So hopefully you guys are kind of getting excited for the ASOL run. I will be going and trying to do at least part of the ASOL run on the first day. You won't see it on the first day because I'll have to make a video on it, obviously. But I will have the start of the video kind of coming for that day. But either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think about this epic relic or other epic relics in particular in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you and peace.